Hello and welcome back to the Coastal Kitchen. Today we're going to be making some delicious chorizo scrambled eggs on sourdough. As usual, everything you need will be listed in the description below, but just to run through it, we've got a lovely crusty sourdough, some free-range eggs, a red pepper, chorizo, some shallot onions, a bit of spinach, olive oil, salt and pepper, and a bit of smoked paprika. Eggs are tricky little devils because they cook so quickly, so I find it a lot easier just to take a knife to everything first before you get started. Then it's all ready just to chuck in as and when you need it. So we're going to take about 70 grams of chorizo. It's alive. Take the condom off it, and we're going to get it into the pan whilst it's cold. And the reason being is chorizo is full of fat. So by putting it into a cold pan and heating it up gently, it's actually going to release the fat into the pan, and we can then use that to cook with, which gives our eggs this delightful chorizo taste and a nice reddish colour. If we put it in a hot pan, it'll obviously sear it straight away, seal all that fat in, which isn't what we want on this occasion. I've also got a griddle pan heating up here because what we're going to do is we're going to toast our sourdough in that. And the hotter the pan, the quicker and the better the result will come. So if you've got two pans and two burners, then get it heating up as quickly as you can. Dice up my chorizo. Again, no science to it, just down the middle again. And then we are just going to rustically dice, i.e. chop without much care. It's weird how you can just take something messy, put the word rustic in front of it, and it just very quickly becomes acceptable. So chorizo is going into the cold pan, and then get that one fired up on a low heat to start releasing the fat. And whilst it's doing that, we can get, that's a bread knife for bread. Whilst it's doing that, we'll get about half a red pepper sliced and ready to go. And we'll also take a shallot and we will finely dice that. If you haven't got shallots, then red onion works just as well, but the shallot is just a little bit sweeter in my opinion, which is very humble of course. It tastes much nicer. So cue elevator music as I peel a bastard of an onion. Slicing and dicing. Oh, I've made a complete dog's anus of this, but you know. So now that the fat is starting to come out of the chorizo, we can get that heat cranked up on that pan and start frying it off. And once that starts happening, we can get everything else in, and that's when it all comes together really quickly. So whilst we're waiting for that to start happening, we will take a bread knife onto our crusty sourdough. Oh, blast. I'll try not to send the table and everything flying, but I'm sure it'll give everyone a bit of a laugh. It's £2 a loaf, I've got to enjoy it. So now we've got our sourdough cut, we're going to drizzle it with a nice bit of olive oil and then season with some salt and some pepper. It may look excessive, but most of it is ending up in the sea. And we're then going to put them oil side down, of course, into the griddle pan. Now, if you don't have a second pan and a second burner, it's not the end of the world. Just obviously finish your eggs or toast your bread first, whichever way you want to do it, and just use the same pan for both. So the eagle-eyed amongst you would have noticed that the tide is creeping up, so we've now got a little bit of a deadline. But the good thing is our chorizo is now sizzling away, which now means we can add our red pepper and shallot into the mix, give it a little bit of a toss, then add some seasoning to taste, black pepper, sea salt, you know the drill, of course, as you can tell. It's the thought that counts with this kind of thing, isn't it? And then last but not least, probably half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. It may look like I'm doing more, but literally everything is just blowing away. So yeah, about half a teaspoon of that in the mix as well. Run that through. If I need to, I'll do this up to my knees in water because little do you know, this isn't the first attempt at this, and I refuse to be beaten by the sea. So we want to keep our peppers, chorizo and shallots moving over a high heat. We want to keep it all in the pan rather than dressing myself with it, but we want to keep the shallots, the peppers, the chorizo on a high heat, sizzling away for probably 3 or 4 minutes just to get those peppers cooked through. I know I committed to going up to my genitals in water, but there is a better option, which is to just move the table. So hold the line, callers, that's what we're gonna do. I've literally got only myself to blame for this. I wish we filmed that, because that was like some kind of comedy sketch trying to move all of this, but we did it. We're sizzling away like it never happened. Now we have our chorizo, shallots and peppers are all nice and cooked through. They've been on a high heat, just keep them moving. And now that means we are ready for our eggs to go in. So we can add a bit of butter, or if you don't have butter with you, then just a little bit of olive oil on top. Turn the heat down ever so slightly. Get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing over here. And we're gonna crack our eggs straight in. Like so. Make it absolute hash of the shells. I'll probably go with 3. And we're gonna use our spatula, and we are just gonna keep them moving. And hopefully they should be like they are now, almost cooked after 30 seconds. Like I said in the beginning, eggs are tricky little bastards, so you just want to keep them moving and use like a stirring and then a chopping motion just to like break them into like the scrambly pieces. But at the same time, you want to mix the chorizo and the onions and the peppers through it, nice. So it should start looking something like that. At that point, turn the heat off straight away, because overcooked eggs is like eating your old trainers. It's just not pleasant. I'd rather not do it. So they literally cook in, what was that, less than a minute. And we want to get just an extra bit of salt for the eggs, bit of black pepper for the eggs. And then, I don't know why I threw my shell in there. We want to get a good handful of spinach in. And it looks like a lot now, but obviously the spinach is going to wilt down massively with the heat from the pan. Get that in when the heat's off, and literally just the residual heat of the pan is going to wilt that down. Mix that through. We want to do the same thing to the back of our sourdough. We want a drizzle of olive oil and a nice season with salt and pepper. And then we want to get that flipped over. So as you can see, as I'm folding the spinach in, it's literally wilting down to put half the size, if not less, as we're doing this. Nice. Nice. Hot, sweet crunch that we all know and love. Nice. The toast is just finishing up now. So I think that's time to get a plate. Don't know where the plates are. Cool, so now we've got our sourdough toast done, our scrambled eggs done. There's only one thing left to do. Let's get it on a plate. Obviously, when you do this, just turn the pan upside down and get it in you. But for the sake of the juicy B-roll, I do want it to look quite pretty. It also doesn't help that the table is literally at a right angle to the floor. But we come up with solutions. We don't find problems. Oh. Yes. It's all just fallen over. Beautiful. Right, B-roll time. So there we have it, chorizo, scrambled eggs, the perfect brunch on the beach, post-sea swim meal, whatever you want to use it for. It is honestly delicious. So with that all said and done, I want to eat this. So thank you so much for watching. Like, follow, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. You know the drill, and I'll see you in the next one.